It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host all the way from sunny Tucson, yes. Patricia Kirkman. PK at 80 degrees. We're all jealous.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm happy for you. I'm moving in.
Come on down. Always welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, we have a great show tonight. In a little while, we're bringing out our incredible guest. This lady is amazing. Cheryl Costa, a UFO statistician, researcher of the year. She has all the stats on UFOs across the country. We're going to dig deep here. We're going to find out what's in our skies, how many, where. We're going to find out all the details. She has left no stone unturned in her research. So we'll bring her on shortly. But first of all, we have to check in with you, PK, on the numbers. What in the world's going on?
Well, I do want to remind everyone we are in retrograde, so do know that anything to do with computers, telephones, anything electronic, even your cars, people, we've got computers in those nowadays. Anything is subject to problems. If it acts out, put it off, put it aside, try it again later, and by gosh, don't throw it away and don't replace it until after the retrograde. You may be surprised everything still works. So that's part of it. Do check your messages and double check anything that's legal that you have to sign, and we're getting close to that income tax time, so be sure your stuff's in good shape. But the day itself today, I think is rather interesting, is today would have been Albert Einstein's birthday, and it happens to be also the date of the death of Stephen Hawking. The coming and the going, and it's also a one universal day, but it's National Pie Day. And at 3:14 p.m. today, the people that won the award, the letters went out to bring them in. So this is something very special, only done at that point in time because of Einstein. And now we've got Mr. Hawkins helping on the other side. We know a lot more is coming. What a fabulous individual. What he's been through is just incredible. When they thought he wasn't going to be but a few years old, shall we say, for him to lay another 50 years into it. How fortunate we are for what he was able to give us.
Yes, absolutely. What a life he's led.
Oh, incredible. Absolutely incredible. He said something that I thought was very interesting when he was going through his period of, there is no mistakes. It's never easy to do anything. So don't stop just because it's difficult. The end result is look what he was able to accomplish.
Yes.
And I can't make it through the aisles at the grocery store. Incredible. But
yes.
You also did some checking with some things ongoing with our airplane today.
Oh, my gosh. Well, you know what? This is a crazy story, but I love it. Because this is something Rod Serling would just absolutely love. Probably write about it in one of his.
Probably did. We just didn't catch up.
But this is about. Now I printed it out because the details are really strange. This is Santiago Flight 513. It landed with, according to the report, 92 skeletons on board after 35 years of being missing. That's bizarre. So it was a commercial airliner. It took off in Germany in 1954, landed in Brazil in 1989 with 92 skeletons on board. So what is up with that? So this was publicized, and it's not conclusive news, obviously, because it came from a variety of sources, actually. But the airliner is no longer functioning. It's no longer doing anything. Everybody has scattered to the wind. So the investigators can't find the people that were originally involved in this. But they thought, obviously, that this aircraft had crashed. But this is such a strange story. And doesn't it sound like Rod Serling, Twilight Zone?
Oh, gosh, yes. And the thing is, where was it all this time?
Well, that's what they were saying. Was it in a portal? Was it passing through? Was it stuck somewhere and then suddenly came back through the portal? They also said that the control tower, this is very strange, had no communication with the plane. And it apparently circled the airport and landed. So they go to meet the plane, they open the doors, and airport security was shocked to discover all the 88 passengers and the 4 crew members seated in their seats, skeletonized.
Yeah.
Now,
incredible.
Including the pilot. So they are thinking to themselves, who landed this plane? It landed. How? So, again, the pilot was found skeletonized, clutching the controls. And it was also noted at the time that the plane was still idling. So this is one of the most bizarre stories I think I have ever read.
I agree.
And the officials were said to refuse to comment on the reappearance of the missing flight. What a surprise.
Yes.
And they refused to speculate on where the plane had been for 35 years. So anyways, someone, actually Dr. Atello, who's a paranormal researcher, he said that Flight 513 almost certainly must have entered a time warp because there's no other explanation. So that was his take on it. So many aspects of this that are strange, and it's too bad that the airline is no longer in business and everybody is no longer available to be interviewed. So you could go a little deeper with this and find out more facts. But it does sound like it was taken from Rod Serling's file.
Oh,
so
definitely.
We don't know for certain. Did it happen? Did it not? I mean,
well, it's there, and what can you say? But 513 also becomes a 9.
Oh, yes.
Old things making way for the new, humanity at large.
Oh, my goodness.
In the portal, it's here now.
Yeah. Yes.
And
so
somebody had to land it perfectly because God knows the skeletons couldn't do it.
No. I mean, that's the thing that is the strangest about the whole story is who landed this plane? How did it land? It didn't crash. It landed normally. So it's a great story. But everybody, listen, if you want to see photographs, etc., the best is
it's all there.
It's on our Facebook page. So make sure to go to our Supernatural Girls Facebook page. Give us a like. Follow us on Twitter. Sign up for our newsletter, The Fringe Files, which you will find on Supernatural Girls' website. So be sure to also sign up for our YouTube channel. We've got that going on. We've got new stuff coming out. Now that my pneumonia is going away, I'm not coughing my head off, I'll be able to record those bedtime stories this week. So hopefully you'll be able to listen to them next week if you'd like.
Excellent.
Yeah, so all good stuff. But tonight, our favorite subject, is UFOs.
Yes.
And we know that it's a favorite subject for all of our audience. And so tonight, we have with us Cheryl Costa, who is named Researcher of the Year. She is a 2-service military veteran, a retired aerospace security engineer, and a published playwright. She's had a lifelong interest in UFOs, and from 1998 to 2001, she hosted her own hit radio show, The X Factor, in Washington, D.C., covering UFOs and many other paranormal topics. This is a woman after our own hearts. I mean, we all love the same things. So I'm so happy to have her on the air with us. And in 2013, she began writing New York Skies, which is a weekly newspaper blog for SyracuseNewTimes.com. And in the column, she shares all of her accounts of New York State UFO sightings. She's also presented at the UFO Congress, and she's done so many things. I mean, we're going to hear all about it. Cheryl, right from Cheryl. And all of these stories about where these UFOs are in our skies, who's seeing them, where across the country, where are the hot spots? We need to know. You definitely need to know. So, Cheryl, welcome to the show.
Yes,
Thank you
we
very
have to
much.
find out what you do in your spare time, Cheryl.
Yeah.
What spare time?
You have such a full boatload of things that are of big interest to all. Can't wait for you to tell us all about it.
Yes.
Well,
So-
go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is a lifelong interest. So this started for you when you were a child?
12 years old. It was late August,
Wow.
a couple weeks before school started. We'd been visiting an aunt and an uncle up in a little farming community, and we were coming down off one of the hills, clear blue sky, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and in the western sky there was this silver ball just parked out there like a rock. And to give you an idea how big it is, put your arm out, look at your little fingernail. That's about how big it was in the sky. Okay?
Oh, wow.
And it just sat there like a rock. My mother had my father pull the car off the dirt road. And she said it might be NASA, it could be a weather balloon, it could be something the Air Force was doing. Remember, this is like 1965. You know, we'd already put a couple of astronauts up. And she says to me, it might be people from another world. Well, that fascinated me. You know, my brother and sister were toddlers, you know, and they weren't paying any attention. So we got back on the road after about 10 minutes, got back down to the main highway, got onto that, and then like a right-hand turn. And I crawled up in the back window of the Chevy Impala that we were riding in. And I was sitting there just fascinated with this thing, wondering who they were. And when it decided to go, it was like one of these things. You know, it was like in Star Trek,
took off.
the starship taking off into warp. That's what it looked like. It was just bam and gone. You know, and it was amazing. And I didn't see another thing like that until about 6 years later when I'm in the Air Force. I'm in Cam Ranh Bay, Vietnam, 11:30 in the evening, Christmas Eve, 1971. A friend of mine, Tom, and I were walking down to the base chapel to go to midnight mass for something to do. And we were walking along, and I'm looking up at the western sky. There was a very low light pollution situation where our base was, so like it was a gazillion stars in the sky, as they say. And all of a sudden I see this streak going across the sky. And, you know, Tom sees it, I see it, and we're going, well, what is that? You know, of course, we're in Vietnam. We figured, it's a jet, you know. And then it stops like a rock.
Oh, wow.
And we sit there and look at it, and, you know, Tom looks at me and says, what's it going to do now? And I don't know. And next thing you know, it's dancing around like a fairy, and then it gone. And neither one of us had our minds on midnight mass when we got to the chapel.
Gosh. Incredible.
So those are two sightings that you had that were quite extraordinary when you were younger. So that piqued your interest enough to want to explore this further?
No, actually it didn't.
You were not a quick study, huh? You wanted to wait, but you want
Can I
more.
have again?
No, you know what happened was I and I tell people this all the time. I was always just kind of a UFO bystander. You know, if a new book came out or something like that. I mean, in high school, after that thing my mother and I saw when I was 12, I'd get books at the library. She'd get books at the library. We'd read them. We'd trade information about it. When Von Daniken's book came out there, 68 time frame, our copy in the household was dog-eared to death. Okay? And so, I, like I said, I just read any newspaper article, any magazine article I saw over the years. All right. I worked for Lockheed Martin. This is like about 1989 time frame. Okay? And I had to go out of town for 2 months, and I was thinking of moving apartments, so I put everything in storage, and I went out on this 2 or 3 month assignment. And I figured I'd get another apartment when I got back. And I had to have emergency abdominal surgery while I was on the business trip. So I'm stuck out there in Youngstown, Ohio, in hospital for 10 days, you know. So I get back. I don't have a place to go to. So this gentleman I knew, very nice gentleman, is a security engineer with the government, and I knew him professionally. And he said, look, my dad's suffering with cancer. He's on chemo. I'm over at his house taking care of him. Here's the keys to my place. Feed the cat. I said, fine. Stay there as long as you like.
Nice.
So I figured I'd be there maybe a couple of weeks until I recuperated. This was abdominal surgery, so it wasn't like I was going to be hauling a lot of stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I get in the house, and this guy has first editions of every major UFO book that had been published to that point.
Wow.
Everything Stanton Friedman ever wrote up to 1989, he had it right there in hardback. Okay, and plus other authors. I mean, the shelf was floor to ceiling, and it was 6 feet wide. And I asked Joe, I said, "Do you mind if I just hang out here for a while?" And he said, I'm with my dad. You stay there as long as you like, hon." So I got kind of a little college education in UFOs, very intense.
Yeah.
Again, all I was well read. And I wasn't and of course, I also had a security clearance. I worked for the Lockheed Martin. I had a very high security clearance. And I knew if I joined a group like MUFON, I would lose my clearance.
You're kidding. They would take your clearance away if you went visiting to MUFON?
You know something? They updated my clearance in 1989. And I was going through a gender change at the time, had to go through all kinds of hoops because I was a gender change situation. They said, "Well, we're gonna take your clearance away because we think you can be blackmailed." And I said to them, "Well, what if I can fix that?" He said, "Well, we don't see how you can. Nobody in your shop knows that you're going through this." And I said, "All right, tell you what. When's the next time you're coming back?" I said, "The investigator." And he says, "Well, about 3 weeks." So I said, "Okay. I'll have it fixed in 3 weeks." And he says, "I doubt that." But he says, "All right, I'll be turning your clearance off in about 3 weeks." I said, "Fine." So he comes back, and he does not know that I have had some quiet press because of my change. It was still kind of a new thing back then. So I threw a VHS tape on his desk and said, "I'm the redhead on Gary Collins. I'm the blonde on Phil Donahue." And he said, "What? You came out on national television?" I said, "Can't be blackmailed anymore."
Oh, see, you did take care of it.
So then he said, then I get a letter from them that they thought that was bad judgment. So they wanted me to go talk to a Department of Defense certified psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever. I said, "Okay, well, make sure you send me to somebody who understands sex and gender." And they said, "Sure, no problem." So I go in and talk to this guy. He talks to me for an hour, and he said, "Cheryl, you're saner than the people who sent you here." So he said, "But I got to run you through a set of psychologicals." Now, I had already had a set done at Hopkins because I was going through my gender change down there in the D.C. Baltimore area. So I already knew how this was going to come out. So I said, "Sure, let's go ahead and do the psychologicals." A couple of weeks later, I heard he called in a colleague, and he says, "Look at subject X here." And they're going through the paperwork, and the guy says, "Well, very intelligent, probably should be a member of Mensa," goes through this, very artistic, maybe a little hysterical, perfectly healthy woman took this test. What would you like to know? He said, "Would you like to meet him?" And so I got a letter. It was since stolen, but I had a letter. You know how people used to take their degrees and decoupage them, have them like varnished, mounted on the wall kind of thing?
Yeah.
All right, so I took this letter and I had it decoupaged and I had it in my office at Lockheed because people would come into my office all the time. "Costa, you're crazy." And I said, "I got a letter that says I'm saying, what do you got?"
There it is.
So
Did you lose your clearance or not?
No, I didn't.
Yay!
6 months later, it was completely adjudicated, no problem.
Excellent.
But they did follow me around.
No, they did.
For a while there. They did follow me around. And so, again, back in those days, because I was kind of in leadership to some transgender groups, and there were people in what I'm going to call the police state who thought that kind of thing was subversive and maybe they're planning the overthrow of our country or something, and they were following us around. And I even talked to one of them one day, one of these guys, and I said, we're not going to overthrow anything except maybe the next meeting because we don't like the secretary of our club, but that's about it, and everybody in our club is too worried about, where they're going to get their next set of heels,
Yeah.
So it was crazy. Okay, move ahead. I'm retired out of Lockheed in 2011. Not by choice. They were doing this downsizing thing, and I saw the 45-year people leaving. I saw the 40-year people leaving. I was 32 years in the company. I thought maybe they'll stop after the 35s. Nah, very unceremoniously, we're retiring you. Bye, thank you, and that was it. Going on a Friday afternoon, I sat in a parking lot and bawled my eyes out for an hour.
Oh.
Okay, but okay, fine. I went to work for a newspaper. Not as a writer, but in the technical department. I was one of the people who was responsible for the electronics, and I made about, when I first started there, about 200 printing plates a night. They're done on a big laser printer on a thing that looks like a cookie sheet, But one night I was sitting there, November 5th, 2012. I was sitting there. We just put the morning edition to bed. The presses were rolling. All I had to do was sit back, sip soda, and wait for 2.5 hours for the run to be done. And I'm looking at CNN.com on the computer. And there's a little sidebar story. And it says, UFOs have been declining since the 1980s. Maybe they were always just an urban legend.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at this article, and I sat there for a minute looking at it, and I said, these aren't the droids you want. This is misinformation, I thought to myself.
Right.
For the first time in my life, I went out to the National UFO Reporting Center's website, and I found a subpage in there where I could get yearly totals, and I went back about 20 years, back to about 1980, and I pulled the numbers and dropped them into a little Excel spreadsheet, and the thing went up like a rocket. And I said, what memo didn't the UFOs get?
Right. Exactly.
And that's what got me going. And I said, this is clearly misinformation. This sucks,
Right.
And then I got digging in there and started reading some of the individual reports that people made to, National UFO Reporting Center. And I went out and found the MUFON site and found similar stuff. And I looked specifically for New York State. And these weren't the nuts and the kooks everybody had always told me, oh, yeah, they're all nuts and kooks that report these things. These were very sane people trying to share something they thought was important and just trying to get it off their chest.
Right.
That's all this was. And I said, whoa, this is interesting. So I took some of these write-ups that were very badly done, and my degree is in entertainment writing and production. So I punched up the story. If I didn't know who it was, and the guy says, me and my girlfriend, I said, okay, Tom and his girlfriend Sue, and I would punch the story up a little bit, but all the facts were there correctly. And I wrote up about 10 of these stories, went to my editors and said, hey, why don't we have like a weekly column about UFO sightings in New York? He said, we don't have any sightings in New York. I said, that's what you think. We average about 200 a year at that time. Nowadays, it's around 400 to 500 a year.
Oh my God,
that's a lot.
Good grief.
Well, they told me 200 a year wasn't enough,
And these are the ones that are reported. There must be hundreds that are not reported.
And, well, if you go to a UFO conference, they'll tell you 1 in 10 people reports what they see. I've got better statistics that says it's more like 1 in 50.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, because I've run a couple of different statistics against the real reported sightings against certain polls people have done. Okay. So I went around 10, 12 different editors. One of them looked at me, and she was the night editor for, again, the web edition of a particular newspaper, and said, and what brand of tinfoil do you wear?
Oh, really?
Oh, God.
Thrown out of a couple offices, got security, escorted me out, and everybody just laughed me out of the place. Oh, this was a big joke. But I also found out another piece of information that was very critical. I asked them, I said, do you guys ever get UFO reports? Oh, yeah, we get about 5 or 6 of those a week. I said, do you report them any place? No, we throw them in the garbage can.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Oh.
That told me a lot about the fourth estate. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I ended up with over at a weekly paper called the Syracuse New Times. They'd been around since the 70s. It was a free paper, and they were mostly arts and entertainment. But the new editor over there was a former copy editor over at the newspaper where I worked. And I went over to talk to the guy, and before he would even look at my presentation, he says, let's talk about UFOs for a minute. And we sat there over a cup of coffee, and he read everything I read since in high school.
Oh, my.
And he knew it inside and out. Frank Edwards, all those guys, and Stanton, and everybody. So after about 25, 30-minute conversation about UFOs and certain key sightings and things, he says, look, I'm sympathetic. He says, I'm not an activist, but he says, I'm sympathetic. He said, we'll try you out for a month. So I gave him 4 or 5 articles and said, let's see what happens. About a month later, I get a phone call, come to a meeting. I thought, oh, here it is. It's over.
God love you. Way to go.
I'm having a hard time parking in their parking lot. The parking lot in this place is atrocious. And I get parked. I'm a couple minutes late for the meeting, and I walk into the place, and I go to the meeting room. And as I walk in, the editor turns around, looks at me, and says, now there's our rock star.
Wow.
I'm going,
what a great compliment.
Yeah. I says, what? I've only been on 4 weeks. Are you sure you got me? He says, you're pulling more page views than every columnist in the place.
See that?
Combined. And that blew us away. So that's where we were 4.5 years ago. In October of this past year, October 25th, 2017, they did a 3-page cover story, feature story about me. And they quoted articles over 4 years worth of writing, plus they did sit down and interview me, more recent stuff about the book and all that kind of stuff. They'd never had one of their reporters interviewed by the New York Times or the London Times or Irish National Radio or the Canadian television system. They'd never had anything like this. And so they had their share of phone calls to their offices to say, hey, tell us about Cheryl, So
yes.
It was
fabulous.
You hit a nerve there's such a huge interest in this, but that leads me to a question, and this is a good question from Blade Runner in our chat room, who's saying, what do you think is the motivation behind the misinformation?
Why? Okay, I'm going to do this graphically. Basically, if I keep you distracted over here, I can pick your pocket over there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Mm-hmm. It's distraction. It's to keep you off balance. Okay? Talk to any con man. If you want to do the long con, you have to keep them distracted with baloney while you're picking their pockets. And that's what it boils down to. Keep people distracted. Don't let them think. Give them confusing information, kind of like what our president does on a day-to-day basis,
So just use the distraction and don't get them thinking about UFOs and get them in the conspiracy of thinking this is all nonsense.
Well, yeah. Look at the movies we had in the 80s. If there was a UFO involved with the thing, there would be 2 guys standing there, and one guy would say, wow, Frank, did you see that? And Frank would say, no, and you didn't either. And that was the mindset they were trying to do.
Yep.
If you got interviewed by a local local television station, they might do a nice piece. They might come out to your farm and talk to you and everything. And when they do the nice little piece, and then they cut back to the anchor, and the anchor would always roll their eyes.
Yes, right.
That was a standard pattern. And so that was the big deal. And I didn't know what was going to happen to me when I started writing the column. Okay. And I started out just sharing New York State stories. And then I started writing disclosure positive stories. Okay. And, we kept waiting for somebody to beat down the door or something. We didn't know what to expect. We really didn't. We realized that our phone was tapped at one point. Because you go to make a phone call and you hear that funny static,
Yeah.
And it was that giveaway. When we were writing the book, it was like a spy novel for us.
Let's hold that thought, Cheryl, because we're going to have to take a very short commercial break, and we're going to come back and hear more of these incredible stories from you, and we're going to learn more about these stats and where these UFOs are showing up across the country. And we have other chat room questions to get to as well. So you are listening to Supernatural Girls Radio, everybody. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host, PK, and our very exciting guest, Cheryl Costa, is here entertaining us tonight with great information, not only about her life, but about UFOs and what is going on in our skies. Now, we have a question from the chat room for you, Cheryl, and it is from Caroline. Caroline wants to know, do you believe news organizations give marching orders to anchors to chuckle and make light of UFO news? Or are these anchors just too afraid to be ridiculed if they take it seriously?
Okay. Prior to this past December 16th, prior to that, I would say, I'm trying to search for the right word. I would say that there was two factors. There was a ridicule factor. They were afraid of their careers. Okay, a reporter who did a UFO story. Sometimes if their management went with the story, they didn't always you might can do one, but don't make it your stock and trade. Okay. In fact, I was worried the fact that I wrote a weekly column that no one would ever hire me to write anything else. Now, recently I got picked up by another upstate magazine to write basically 55 plus stuff. So I write for 55 plus magazine. I'm retired, so I was a perfect fit.
Sure.
So I think there was a marching orders thing back in the 60s and 70s. People men in black type people would show up, or military people would show up to an editor saying, "This is national security," and they got leaned on. Okay, but there was also that ridicule factor of this is silly stuff. And then after 68, after the Condon report, when they said,
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
These aren't the droids you want. It's stupid, and anybody who does talks about this stuff is really a true believer, and we know what they are. And that was the attitude the Condon report took, and it was a whitewash. Anybody who knows anything about it knows it was a whitewash job. Now, when it came time to getting mainstream media to write about this stuff, I criticized them for the first 3 years of my column. I said, how come I can write about this and you people, 60 Minutes won't write about it, the New York Times won't write about it, the Washington Post won't return my phone calls? I went to 75 newspapers when my book was getting ready to come out. I went to the 12 major market newspapers, and nobody would return my phone call. Or if they did, the editor would do something like, oh, UFOs? Okay, hang on, let me ask my people. Hey, anybody want a story about UFOs? You hear all these people laughing in the press room, and they say, bye.
Oh, Jesus. How awful.
I had that happen twice.
But you were ultimately interviewed by a reporter from the New York Times.
Yeah.
So that's quite an honor also. It also speaks volumes to people turning around, and it seems like there's an agenda around this turning around. It's not by chance. But they did come and interview you, and tell us about that, because you said they spent the whole day with you and evening.
Well, two things happened. And I tried to reach out to them when the book was first coming out, and I couldn't touch anybody down there. And being that I was already from the business because I used to be a talk radio host, I knew how to touch these people, and I couldn't get anybody to reply. All right, so I managed to get the editor for the Washington State Seattle Intelligencer to put a stringer reporter on the story. He said he was intrigued by the numbers we said Seattle and Washington State had. All right, that guy and I talked for 2 hours. Okay, just about a month before the New York Times. And he wrote 2 stories. He wrote one for the Seattle paper, but he also wrote one for the online edition of the San Francisco Chronicle called SF Gate. What's interesting was I went to the San Francisco Chronicle's science writer, and he politely sent me back a note and says, well, the issue of UFOs was settled back in 1968. It's a non-story.
Oh, please.
So when FS Gate ran the story about California being number 1, rah, 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 for UFO sightings, and I didn't think much of it. I saw the 200-300-word articles, and I thought, well, that's great. I got some press. And then I get a phone call from KABC in Los Angeles saying, hey, do you know the story about your book has got social media on fire out here on the West Coast? I'm going, what do you mean? And he says, California's number 1. And going, oh, my God, that's not the story, but okay, let's talk about that. Now, this guy gets me on the air in their 4 o'clock drive time, which is like 7 o'clock my time. And the first thing he tells his audience, oh, yeah, we got a host here who's written a book about UFOs. Now, we all know those are just misidentified aircraft and things like that. But let's talk to this person. And he sets it up like this.
Dismiss it before you can even get on the air. That's so disgusting.
Yeah, that had me irritated, but I blew him and his audience's socks off because I just started dropping numbers because I had it right in front of me. Bam, bam, bam,
well, let's drop some of those numbers because people are anxious to find out all about where the hot spots are. What do you have to? What did you find out?
Okay, the first thing I got to tell you, they're not where people think they are. Okay. Okay. California was from a state standpoint. California is number 1, 15,836. Florida, 7,887. Texas, 7,058. Okay, and then it starts dropping into the 5,000s, and then we're talking Washington State, Pennsylvania, my home state, New York State, 5141. 5,141. In fact, the weekend I did the New York State numbers, my barista at the coffee shop, I came in and he knew we were working on the book. He says, well, what state did you do this weekend? And I said, well, we did New York. He said, well, how many UFOs did we have in New York during the 15-year of the book? And I said, 5,141. And I feel a tap on my shoulder from behind me. I turn around, there's this little 5-foot lady sitting there. Said, did you say New York State had 5,000 UFO sightings in the last 15 years? And I said, yes. We had to help her to a chair. She lost the color in her face.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
She says, how come we don't hear about these things? And I said, that's a good question. How come we don't hear about these things? We have 400 a year here in New York State, but you don't hear about them, do you?
No, that's the problem.
Amazing.
But again, now, Cheryl, it seems like, I noticed, and I posted this on our Facebook page for Supernatural Girls, is that they are putting out stories that they never used to put out before in the mainstream media.
Okay.
And it seems like a little desensitization going on. It's like throwing these stories out at us.
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back to
kind of used to this idea.
Let's go back to the New York Times now. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Just before Obama left office, the CIA, we didn't get the disclosure we wanted, but we got a big release of documents by the CIA to the National Archives. Okay? Right. And some of those things were UFO. A lot of it was like Henry Kissinger cables and everything from the 60s and 70s. But there were PDFs of all of these documents in the CIA from the late 40s and early 50s. Okay? And I sat there and I downloaded a whole bunch of them. And I sat there looking at some of the stuff they had and going, hey, look, I looked at Linda, my spouse, and I said, hey, they were pulling their hair out about some of the same things we were pulling our hair out while we were writing the book. You know? And these guys were PhD kind of guys getting paid big bucks by the government to pull their hair out about all this anomalous stuff that nobody believes in. And so the New York Times looked at all this stuff too. So when my book comes out, there was some sensitivity to the fact that this Pulitzer Prize winning reporter goes into the editors and said, throws a 2.5 pound book on the desk and says somebody did the science and people are seeing them every place, and here are the numbers. That got their attention because this was no books about, oh, I saw this, I saw that. No. This was numbers. And they couldn't argue with the numbers. So, and the only people to argue with the numbers are the convention people. The people who invite people to conventions, they tell me my book is boring as dried dirt, you know. But they've never heard. The problem is they never hear. Well, hell, you even said that. When I first talked to you, you said, "Oh, I don't know how we can talk about UFOs and
can we talk about stats for 90 minutes?" But then you assured me there is so much to this, and absolutely, you're right. There is.
There is.
Where's just a second before we go back into the New York Times story? Massachusetts. Where are we?
Massachusetts. Give me a moment here. I will have that for you in 20 seconds here.
Okay.
Massachusetts. Hang on. Massachusetts, remember, it's a small state. It's New England. So it has what we call a northern seasonal pattern for UFOs. But that's something we discovered. There are seasonal patterns depending upon what latitude you are in the United States. My wife, Linda, discovered this. Okay?
Oh,
all right. Massachusetts ranks number 19 of 51, and we count D.C. as a state. So it ranks number 19 of 51. They had, for the 15-year window of 2001 to 2015, they had 2,208 reported sightings. Essex County, actually that's wrong. Middlesex County is the most UFO sightings in the state, followed by Worcester and Suffolk.
Okay.
Fireballs are the most prominent thing, almost 8% of the sightings up there, and then followed by ovals and discs.
Okay.
Oh, darn.
Gosh. Now, here's a question for you also from Marvin the Martian, talking about the stats. I'd like to know, are these stats that you did only in the U.S.?
Yeah, we did not do any foreign countries. There were complications there. One, we wanted to do a unique book. The name of the book is the UFO Sightings Desk Reference, United States of America, 2001 to 2015.
Okay.
And we didn't do the international for a lot of reasons. It was harder to get the data out of the database, okay, because of the way it was logged. I'm working on that now, okay, and I'm trying to come up with an international one based on only NUFORC and MUFON. The problem is it won't represent the databases in England, Germany, Spain, Portugal, Italy, because they've all got databases too, but they all need to be translated. And there's friends at these conventions. I've made friends, and there are people who are trying to connect me up with the administrators for all of those databases in the greater part of Western Europe.
Right.
But don't hold your breath on how long it's going to take. Right now, if I had to give you numbers, it would take me about a week, and I could give you NUFORC's and MUFON's numbers for the international probably in about a week, because I know how to crunch it now. But that was not our objective. We set out with this book to dispel the notion of that 2012 article that UFOs have been declining since the 80s. They've been going up.
So your opinion is that they are increasing? What's your opinion on this?
Okay.
Based on your stats.
Yeah. In 2000. 1 second. I have to quote my own number, so I have to pull it up. We did put nice charts inside the book that we use census charts, since the government does. And Linda, since she used to work in the government, she made sure the book looked like an official government document, kind of subversive in that way. Okay. In 2001, all of the United States, we logged 3,479 sightings. By 2015, we're about 11,800, with 2012 being around 14,000, 2013 being 13,000, 2014 being almost 14,000. Actually, I've done the totals for 16 and 17, 2016, 17. The curve is starting to go down, but we think that this is part of a normal 7-year cycle. It's kind of a hump. You know, goes up and goes down, goes up and goes down in about a 7-year cycle, and it looks to be following the 6-7 year cycle.
Okay, so you're seeing some patterns here, which is very interesting. And the pattern that you said Linda found was the latitude, also that certain latitudes and certain seasons.
Right.
Let me explain that. Okay.
Yeah, please.
We thought because I wrote New York, we had a certain amount of quiescent sightings all year long. Let's say it's like 30 sightings a month kind of thing. And then you get to about May, it starts to tick up ever so slightly. It gets to June, it starts going up. July and August are like this, and then it starts trailing back down. So you got this big peak, and then you got this quiescent level of sightings. Now, who are the quiescent level of sightings? They are the dog walkers and the smokers who are out there day in, day out, rain or shine. Okay, that's your baseline. And then everybody who saw my chart in the Syracuse New Times said, "Well, it's summertime, June or July and August. Yeah, everybody's outside. That makes sense, duh." You know, well, we thought that was what it was like everywhere. So I'm done crunching all the charts and all the tables, and I'm writing analysis chapters for the book. Linda's laying the book out, and she looks over her computer terminal in our sewing room. Oh, by the way, Vogue magazine did an article on us because the New York Times said our computers were in our sewing room.
Sewing room.
You know?
I thought that.
And so, okay, she leans over the computer and says, there's a different pattern if you go down to the mid-Atlantic states, and there's an even different pattern if you go down to the deep South states. So if you took from about Virginia, Maryland, and went straight across the country, that big peak that we had starts coming down. It starts flattening. You get down in the deep South states, and it looks like a picket fence. It's statistically flat.
Huh.
Okay. Now there's some oddball things with it, like Florida. It's statistically flat. It's bumpy, but it's statistically flat, except for December and January, which are when the snowbirds go down there, and they were spiked up, and all these people from up north go down. Oh, it's beautiful weather. Look at the clear sky. What's that? You know,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Right.
The same sort of thing down in several other states were like this. So I had a reporter come to me from a California newspaper and said, well, California crosses 9 lines of latitude. Does this hold up with California? So I took 9 counties in upstate California, 9 counties down around San Francisco, mid-state, and 9 counties in the deep south of thing, and the charts were consistent. Okay, so there was a latitude difference, and that led us to believe one other thing. We did the late John Keel, who wrote the Mothman prophecies.
Yes.
40 years ago, it took about 800, maybe 1,000 sightings on punch cards, and they ran a study on it. Some university out in Colorado or something like that ran it to a big 360 computer, and they came back and they said, well, all the UFO sightings seems to be on Wednesdays. And them has come to be known as the Wednesday phenomena. Okay?
Okay.
Well, John suffered from a small data set. Okay? I had 121,000 records. He had about 800, maybe 1,000. Okay, we found out that it's statistically flat through the week, starts to tick up a little bit on Fridays, is 7 to 9% above everything during the week, above the week on Saturday night, and it's on Sunday. It's about the same as it is on Friday. Did we just lose somebody? Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it goes in and out.
Yeah, I saw your pictures winking and out. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, but we're here. We're with you.
We're not leaving.
So Linda and I came to 2 conclusions. What drives UFO sightings? Leisure time and temperate weather.
Okay.
Okay, that was one of the biggest conclusions we came to. Now, a lot of people would say, well, California's number 1 because they got the population. And I said, okay, I'll buy that. But don't tell me it's completely driven by population. I did a chart and an analysis in the book where Florida and Texas are both around in the 7,000s, right? But Florida has half the population of Texas, but it has more UFO sightings. I had other states like Washington State and Pennsylvania. One had more population, but they had almost equal numbers in UFO sightings. So population isn't the only driver. Okay, and yes, we know there's lots of sightings around major metropolitan areas because there's two reasons. Is it because the UFOs are studying the people in those cities, or is it there's more people there to see the UFOs studying them?
That's the question. Now, also, there's another question about latitude and longitude and how that affects these sightings. Ben Mesrick, I'm sure you know his book on the 37th parallel and how he found that there were a whole bunch of sightings and animal abductions and things taking place along that parallel. Did you find anything like that? Uh-oh. Did we lose Cheryl?
Yeah, looks. Cheryl has disappeared.
We lost you. Come back.
Joe, get to work.
So much fun with Cheryl. Yeah, she'll come back and join us. But, this is so fascinating.
It's
PK,
absolutely incredible to see all the different statistics.
Well, she's crunched the numbers like nobody else has done. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of work and detail-oriented. I mean, this is like stuff I could never do in a million years. Yeah. I mean, I like to look up in the sky, see a UFO, and that's fun. But to do the numbers on that. But again, this is what brought the New York Times to her door, is the fact that her book was, statistically, scientifically based. That here it is. Here's a listing of all these sightings. And I know people in the chat room have more questions for her about this and how she determines what the sightings are about. But this is an incredible amount of work that she's done. And no wonder she got Researcher of the Year. This is a great amount of research. What a great body of research she's done. Yeah, it's incredible. Now, we got to also ask her when she gets back online with us here, what does she think these things are? Because as you know,
good question. That was what I was going to ask myself. Is the fact?
Well, go ahead and ask that question.
No, that's fine.
Because
the thing is, I think we need to know. Each of us sees something in a different way, and if each one puts their little input into it, it builds the picture that we're looking for to get the answers we need. And to think the amount of time that she's done the research on all of this is absolutely incredible, and to think that her wife has been such a major help to her in getting these statistics put together, I think is incredible.
Well, it is. I mean, this is an incredible amount of work, and I give her so much credit for doing it and letting us know, where these hotspots are. I'm surprised by California. I didn't think that they would be number one. I was guessing on other stories. So we're going to go, I think, to break early because let me just take this call from Cheryl. And hey, Cheryl, we're missing you on the air.
Right. Okay.
Okay, what we're going to do is take a short break. So hang on a second. Let me get everybody into break, and I'll be back with you. You are listening to Supernatural Girls Radio, everybody. We will be right back, and hopefully with Cheryl. Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, here with my co-host, PK. And you can find PK online at patriciakirkman.com for your numerology reading. You can also go to our website, supernaturalgirls.com. You can submit your prayer request. We're also calling it intent request. So if you have an intent you want to manifest, we're going to add that to the prayer group meeting. So feel free to send us an email. Let us know what you're trying to manifest and create. We're going to help you with it. And we are offering all kinds of services on our website. We have PK offering numerology, and I am offering dream analysis as well as readings with tarot cards, etc. So we have lots of exciting things. Oh, and also introducing you to your spirit team. That's a fun one. Yes. So be sure to contact us if there's any appointments you want to book. We're happy to do that for you. So we are awaiting our guest. I think she has just joined us. She was kicked off the air by her own computer, but she, I believe, is back with us now. Let's check in. Cheryl, you there?
Okay.
Okay, but she's coming on soon. And we have, Okay. And we have all kinds of questions in the chat room. If you have a question, just go to irnchat.com, and ask your question, and we will ask Cheryl to answer it for you. So we can get all the goodies on these stats about UFOs. I'm shocked about how many sightings there are, PK. There are enormous amounts of
I couldn't believe. I mean, I was thinking a few thousand, maybe, not anywhere near what we have. Yay, Cheryl, you're back with us.
Yay.
For the United States, for the 2001 to 2015, it's 121,000.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
And
That's
I
huge.
haven't seen one yet. I want to see one.
And you're living in Arizona. Where does
That's
Arizona
right.
fit into, Cheryl?
Arizona is oops. Okay, are you still there?
Yep, we're here.
Okay,
With ya.
okay. My screen winked again. All right. Okay. Arizona is about number 7 in the country.
Wow.
Okay. Now, the goofy thing about Arizona is Los Angeles County in California is the number one county in the United States for UFO sightings. Okay?
Okay.
3,212 sightings in that 15-year period. That's more than 40 individual states. Okay? Now, Maricopa County, which is Phoenix area, okay, had, in the book it says 2019 sightings. We found out that 500 people spelled Phoenix wrong after the book was published. They spelled it with a P-H-E-O versus O-E. And so the number is really around 2563 for Maricopa County. That makes the number 2 county in the country for UFO sightings. And we kind of came to a goofy conclusion about that, why it might be that way. And Los Angeles has had UFO sightings since the 1880s, flying up and down the canyons, that kind of thing.
Wow.
Okay?
My goodness.
And
So,
go ahead.
so PK, you got to get outside more.
Yeah, well, I'm in Tucson. See what happens? You leave the big. Well, Phoenix is hotter, but
Phoenix. Wait a minute now. Tucson. Now we're talking cities. Now that's a different ball game. What is that?
I have no idea.
Okay. So Phoenix. Okay, and now if we're talking in terms. Let me stay with Maricopa County. Let's stay with the county for a moment. Okay, there's a logic here. Maricopa is number 2 in the country. Okay, and then it starts going down from there, and it's like Cook County in Chicago, that kind of thing. Okay, and then the largest county in New York State. Everybody would have you believe Pine Bush, New York, is the capital of UFOs in New York. That's because they have a UFO festival. There are actually 5 other counties that have more sightings than they do. And the capital of UFOs in New York State is Suffolk County, Long Island. Ever hear of Montauk Point?
Oh, yes.
In paranormal stuff? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But they had 554 in that 15-year period. Now,
wow.
Oh, my
let's talk about cities. Now, one more thing about Maricopa County. It's got more sightings than 36 individual states.
Oh, my goodness.
That's huge.
That's huge.
Yes.
Now, L.A. and Maricopa have both had major UFO things. L.A. had their sightings back in the 1880s all the way up to February 1942, the Battle of L.A., okay? So there's a cultural thing. Grandpa told the kids and his kids and his grandkids, oh, yeah, we shot 1,200 artillery shells at that thing. Okay, nothing happened, okay? And what happened in 97? We had 2 football field long UFOs blotting out the stars in Maricopa, in Phoenix, okay?
Phoenix Light.
And people there have been telling their kids, look up, you might see something one of these days. So there's this cultural imperative to look up. So there's a tendency to look up and see, and there's stuff up there to see. So people report it, okay? That's what we think is going on there, plus temperate weather and all that kind of thing. Now, if you talk about cities, that's a different ball of wax. The number one city in the United States is Phoenix for UFO sightings, followed by Las Vegas. But Las Vegas, actually Nevada, from a state standpoint, when the book came out, I got a lot of hate mail from people in Nevada. We shouldn't be 26 of 51. We should be right up there because we've got all this stuff here, Area 51, and they yelled and screamed at me.
Oh my God!
Sorry, but Clark County had serious numbers by itself. The state in general did not measure up to the rest of the country, but and you actually look at Las Vegas is number 2.
Huh.
I'll be darned.
So the way you break it down,
yeah. You think they are, right? You know.
Yeah.
And Washington, D.C. is on the bottom of the list.
Even they don't want to go there, huh?
Well, okay. Now, there's a thing you got to keep in mind. Remember I said temperate weather and leisure time?
Mm-hmm.
Where do people have leisure time in D.C.? It's a work town.
Right.
Okay? Yeah. They burn the midnight oil in that town. I was there for almost 30 years. The bedroom communities, and that's where the UFO sightings are, out in the Maryland and Virginia and Delaware suburbs.
Okay. Now, PK, you have a question for Cheryl about these UFOs. And remember, we were talking about that when we were on break.
My mind just went totally blank. I'm still amazed at because I was thinking of the Tucson, because I have friends here that have told me that they have seen flying saucers here, and they've seen them over a number of years. And I'm amazed that I keep saying, but where? And I'm finding out it's within a few blocks of where I live, yet I've not seen anything. What, as you say, the leisure time weather makes a difference.
Well, it does. It does. You wouldn't believe. You look at the dog walkers and the smokers,
right?
And the people going out for a smoke while walking the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then there's the people who say we were laying on the hood of our car watching the stars. And I hear people all the time say, "Oh, I want to see a UFO." I said, "Okay, shut your phone off."
Oh, that's a key right there.
And go outside with somebody you like and shut up and just look at the stars. Have some light conversation, but look at the stars.
Good advice.
You will see them. Okay?
Yes.
I'm in one of these reenactment groups where we dress up like medieval people and we run around beat monsters up with rubber swords. Okay, LARP. It's called live action role play.
Yeah.
All right. I was down in an old dairy farm that's been completely converted over to what I'm going to call a fairy village. Okay, it's a medieval village on this dairy farm, and this guy sells it for a weekend a month for all through the nice warm season for groups that do that.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Disclaimer, you will not be transported to the top of the world. In the unlikely event you find yourself in the Arctic Circle, seek shelter from the elements immediately to avoid frostbite and or hypothermia. Geico will not be responsible if you find yourself in a cave or crevasse with a lonely abominable snowman, who in all likelihood will force you to play games including but not limited to Go Fish, charades, Chinese checkers, or his personal favorite, Red Rover, send Yeti on over. Geico is not liable for any damages, either physical or emotional. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
This sort of thing, okay? And one night, I'm 66 years old. I don't do walking through the woods at night anymore. I don't walk up and down hills. My legs just can't handle it. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'll guard the tavern. So I'm out there with my rubber sword guarding the tavern, right? And
right.
I laid my head. It was a clear night. You could see the galaxy. And I laid my head back, and I just laid there, leaning up against this beam and just watching the sky. And within about 10 minutes, I figured out the stacking pattern for Scranton Airport, which is 35, 40 miles down the road. Okay? And I figured out what the stacking pattern was. And it was 10 minutes after that, I really started being able to pick out the UFOs. And I counted 40 of them in a period of about an hour.
40? Oh, my goodness.
Wow. No, did I see some big old UFO, big flying saucer come down? No. I'm looking at lights in the sky, and maybe people say, well, Cheryl, they were satellites. And I said, well, if they were satellites, they would have had to have been the size of a Mack truck for me to see. Okay, and so if you lay back on the hood of your car and you shut the phone off, you're gonna see stuff. I guarantee it, especially on a clear night.
That's what you need to do, PK. That's how you'll see them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to.
And get
I
away
didn't
from the
think
city
that
lights
we
if
had
you can.
anything in Tucson.
Get away from the
Well, there
city
aren't many
lights.
city lights in Tucson because it's basically a dark city because of Kips Peak.
Oh,
So Tucson
yeah.
excels. So I keep looking. One of these days I'll find one, as long as they don't take me.
You'll see one.
They'll probably
Here's a
throw me back
question for
anyway.
you, Cheryl.
Sure.
This is from Vampira, who's asking, whatever happened to that UFO app that MUFON had?
You mean like the little it shows the map with the UFO sightings?
Yes.
It was up and running as last I heard. In fact, I saw it about
so
2
maybe
months
it's still
ago.
there. So Vampira, go check
They
it
might
out.
have
Maybe
it. They
it's
might have it
still there.
buried, or they might possibly have put it behind the paywall. MUFON's got, and this is, I'm not throwing stones at MUFON. They may they've been moving more and more of their features behind their paywall, join up to get to see the stuff.
Okay, that could be. Now, the question PK had for you was this. What do you think these things are?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I remembered.
I'm glad you got under the Twilight Zone.
I guess.
I can't confirm or deny. No.
Stop. Oh, stop.
Okay, my stock answer. Yes, they might be government. They might be specialized government aircraft. They may be extraterrestrials from another planet or another galaxy. They may be interdimensional beings from another dimension. I kind of lean on that one myself. And do I know who's driving them? Might be government pilots, might be aliens, might be interdimensional beings. It could be the Teamsters. I have no idea.
Oh, it's not the team.
Jimmy Hoffa's long gone.
Oh, God. But yeah, I think, again, this is a great question that everybody's asking. They want to know, who's up there watching us or flying around or investigating or researching. What in the world are they? And I think
would you like
this
a little
is a question
secret on this?
Yes.
I can give you a secret.
Okay.
All right. Now, to your listeners that are in your chat room, don't come back and ask me when I make this comment. Don't come back and ask me where you can find it on the web. You won't find it on the web like you won't find my book on the web because this is new research. Okay? I've only had these numbers a month.
Okay.
Okay. Dr. Gordon Spear, retired astronomer from Sonoma University, wrote one of the two guys that wrote a foreword in my book. I went to him and asked him, this is back about 6 months ago, I said, if I give you a copy of my database, could you calculate what star times these things come in? Because the astronomical time, the time the stars are overhead, is a 23 hours, 56-minute day, not 24 hours. It's 4 minutes shorter than a regular 24-hour day. And that makes a big difference because the stars that are overhead right now are going to be overhead tomorrow 4 minutes earlier, and the day after that 4 minutes earlier than that, 8 minutes.
Right.
Okay, and a week from now it'll be 30 minutes earlier than it is right now. Okay, that's the difference. Star time is when stars are overhead. Okay, so I had him convert the local times of the sightings for 6 states. We took 2 or 3 states with very small amounts of sightings, only like 500 sightings, that type of thing, and he did California. And he almost lost his marriage doing California because it took him a week and every minute of the day. Okay, 15,000 sightings. It took a long time to put the lat and longitude information in there, convert daylight savings time to standard time, all that stuff. Okay, it took a lot of work and it almost cost him his marriage. His wife is an angel. Okay, it was a lot of work. So we only did 6 states. But we asked the stupid question, is there a specific star time, astronomical time, sidereal time, or I'm sorry, it's pronounced it wrong, sidereal time that these UFOs are seen? And we expected to see no. We expected to see something statistically flat, and we figured, no, there isn't. Okay, and that was what we expected to see. But by goodness, yes, there is a specific time when people see the UFO sightings. And remember, that time is a moving target every day.
Yes.
Okay, it's a moving target every day. So when the galaxy is overhead, Usually in the winter time, winter and fall times, you can see it. It's overhead at a certain time. But at another time of year, it's actually overhead during the daytime. Okay, because remember, the star time keeps creeping backwards. Okay, all right. And it's the majority of sightings for the 6 states that we examined were at what they call 1800 or 6 o'clock star time. That's when the galaxy is directly overhead. Now, one very nice lady offered the theory, says, well, what if from the center of the galaxy to just overhead, there's like a portal, and that's where they pop out.
Right.
Okay? And if you happen to be, your state just happens to be under the galaxy at that particular time, you're the ones that are going to see the UFOs pop out of that portal.
It's a good thought.
It's as good as any theory I've heard.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's a new discovery we've made. In fact, I was able to announce it at the International UFO Congress 2 weeks ago. I was able to show a couple of slides showing what those graphs looked like, and where we really saw the clean resolution was on the smaller states, because California, it was really muddy. The sightings were what I said, statistically flat, and really didn't make any sense, but there was a bump at 1800. You went to a state like Wyoming or Iowa, where we only had 500 sightings. It was statistically flat in the dirt, and then went up like a rocket and then down again. And it was at that hour window, when 35-minute window when the galaxy's overhead.
Incredible.
New discovery. Only about a month
That's
old.
great. Hearing it here.
Fabulous.
Supernatural Girls Radio from Cheryl Costa. Yeah, that's an amazing discovery. I mean, I think you're on to so many things, starting with the foundation of these statistics and then looking at all of these other factors. This is a great body of work that I think is going to lead us to some answers, Cheryl.
Cheryl,
go ahead.
I was going to say, hold your book up so our audience can see it.
It's available through Amazon.com. You can have it to you in about 3 days.
Isn't that fabulous? What a beautiful book.
And it's called, the title is the UFO Sightings Desk Reference, United States of America, 2001 to 2015 by Cheryl Costa and Linda Miller Costa. Amazon can have it to you in 3 days, 2 to 3 days, actually, depending upon what time you order it. It was $39.95 when we first started selling it, because it was a reference book. It was intended for libraries.
Right.
Christmas time this year, we took it down to $29.95, and that seemed to be the sweet spot, and it's been selling like hotcakes.
Oh,
so
great.
We've been delighted to see that.
Oh,
and,
gosh,
and also,
is it great for lay people, but for researchers, as you mentioned, that want to get a feel for what's happening in this area, especially if they have to go out and investigate a report. So what you're doing, again, with this book is great, because you're giving them some benchmarks. You're giving them some background that's so necessary, when they go out in the field. So we've
been encouraging people to, in fact, I've done a couple of memes on Facebook, and we've been encouraging people to ask their local libraries to put a copy either in the general collection or in the reference book collection, so other people can have it there available to do research. Okay?
Exactly.
And
great idea.
Especially if they don't want to buy the book themselves, talk your library into it. I had one lady say, well, we couldn't do it. They won't talk to me. And I said, look, go online, look up the New York Times article from 24 April 2017, print a copy of that out, print a copy of the Amazon.com listing for the book out, staple them together, walk into the information desk, tell them you're a local patron, here's a book we'd like to see in your collection. There you've got a review from the New York Times, and you've got the Amazon listing, and most libraries order it through Amazon anyway, and also they look at you, a living body, not a little piece of electronic email that's coming in. They don't know who that's from, but they see you, a living body, in front of them. You're a patron, and you visited their library. They'll take you seriously. I live with a librarian, believe me.
Good. There's just so much great information in the book. Why shouldn't it be in every library so people can have access to it? But again, there's so many mysteries in our skies, and you started to try to dig deep and find out what in the world's going on up there and why at certain latitudes, longitudes, certain cities, certain counties. Why is it happening there? You've done a great job with all of this. But one thing I want to bring up.
Go ahead. Ask your question.
You mentioned on Facebook today, and it's a real painful topic for so many people. There is still so much disparagement of women being involved with the UFO experience. It's like, what in the world is going on with that? And you've experienced it personally. I mean, here you are, Researcher of the Year, and you've done this amazing book that's selling very well, and it is the science of this, and still even you, of all people, are getting this type of, this is uncalled for. It really shouldn't be happening in this day and age.
At the convention, I had 6 different men, all bigger than me, and I'm 5'8", and these guys were all bigger than me, and they would find some way to get me crowded up against the wall or something like that, or stuff, backed into a corner by, a door entrance or something like that, and tell me, we're the Air Force, and we're watching you. And
God, I'm trying to get over it. Jeez.
At least 3 of them did that.
Oh.
I had a guy upset with me because I'm a trans person. And
who cares? God.
His attitude was women are messing this up, messing up UFOlogy, and you trans women are just adding to it, And I had one guy at my at the convention. You have a table there to sell your books. Well, this book is 2.5 pounds. And we weren't going to take 3-4 crates of these things at 2.5 pounds a book. Doing the numbers,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to take 100 books. I had all you do to get my baggage there, let alone a couple of crates of books. So what we did is we had little cards printed up with all the order information to get it with Amazon and the ISBN number. Everything you needed to order it was right there on a little business card. Okay, and it had a nice starry sky on it and everything. We had a couple hundred of them printed up. And we had 2 copies of the book with us for demo purposes to look at. And we had one guy pounding on our book. Did you get a man to check these numbers?
Oh, jeez.
I hit it with the book.
Yeah.
Do you know what I told him?
No, what?
Don't worry. We got one of those things, and it's all covered. It's home in a jar.
Good girl.
Love it.
In this day and age, there's really no excuse for this. There really isn't. But I had to bring it up because I did see your post today, Cheryl, and it's a sad commentary. But there is a lot of infighting in the UFO world too, no matter what the gender.
Yes. And I was so hesitant to put that up, but it's been 2 weeks. I've had a little bit of the glow of getting the award kind of wear off, and I said, I've got to speak about this. Because I had these men corner me and say these things to me, and if I had a lesser angel, I might have punched somebody out, and then I would have been arrested in Arizona, and that's the last thing I wanted. Okay?
No, not here. Wear a pink jumpsuit.
Yeah, that's it. And my attitude was, I just want to get out of this situation. I want to diffuse it. I don't want to be involved any deeper than this. But this was my way of getting back at it. Besides that, if somebody from the convention came to me, if I'd reported it then, there was 2,000 people, almost 2,500 people there. It's a sea of faces. I couldn't tell you what they looked like 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, God, it's unfortunately, you see this in a lot of different paranormal groups where there still is some type of infighting. We know better what's going on with Bigfoot than and it's really
jealousy.
Too bad. I think, people need to come together on every level, even in the paranormal world. But certainly you've presented a tremendous addition to our research and what we need to know about UFOs, Cheryl. We can't thank you enough for what an enjoyable time we've had with you tonight.
A delight.
And great information, but you're terrific, and it's wonderful to have you here. We hope you'll keep in touch, because I got a feeling you have another book you're going to write. So we want you back.
Okay. We're going to try to do the city's directory for you.
Oh, wow.
But the thing, people have been saying, "What's your next UFO book?" And I said, "Well, UFO books aren't exactly my stock and trade. I've got a novel sitting over there waiting for it to finish editing. I've got a collection of 30 short stories over there that is waiting for editing, and I've got 2 mysteries waiting to be published. I mean, I am a different kind of a writer,
Well, listen, we got to end the show. Unfortunately, we're running out of time so quickly, too quickly. But thank you again, Cheryl. We really appreciate you coming on the show with us tonight, and I know we're going to have you back. So in the meantime, everybody, we'll be back next week with a new show. It's more on mediumship, this time medical mediumship, human MRIs. See what they have to say. So until then, everybody, we'll see you on the Blue Highway. Good night.
Good night.
Progressive presents Get Pumped. Inspiration to help you do insurance stuff.
Okay, time out. You're gonna let your budget be the boss of you? Take control with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Tell us what you want to pay for car insurance, and we'll help you find options that fit your budget. Here's some music to get you pumped. Da-dong, 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 dang, dang. I hear your budget laughing at you. Oh, wait, that's just those kids laughing at me. Ignore them! Da-dong, da-dong,
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.